The Mystery of Underground Restroom. My name Brian. I have a spooky story to tell. This is based on my experience working part-time as a cleaner. After I finished high school, I worked part-time as a cleaner in an office building near my house. I took up the job because my father asked me to, so I wouldn't be idle at home with no work. The story begins. I was given the night shift job at that time when most office workers had already gone home. Because I was a new cleaner, I was trained by my senior. I called him Uncle Ben because there was a 28-year age gap between us. Uncle Ben told me to clean the men's toilet on the lower ground floor first because the upper floor had already been cleaned by the day shift cleaner. I didn't mind because at night there weren't many people around, so it was easy for me to do the work. While I was cleaning the men's restroom, suddenly I heard someone screaming. I was surprised because it was late at night and there weren't many people around. I came out of the men's restroom and walked to the corridor. As I was walking, I heard the sound of someone crying. It sounded like a woman's voice. I listened carefully to determine where the sound was coming from. After searching around, I was sure that the sound was coming from the women's restroom. I knocked on the toilet door before entering, asking if anyone was there. There was no response, but the sound of crying grew louder. Worried, I made the decision to enter. When I went in, I didn't see anyone around. Inside the toilet, there were 3 cubicle doors that were half closed. I slowly pushed open the first door, but no one was inside. Bang! I heard the sound of something falling near the cubicle next to mine. I was scared at that moment. Even though I am a man, being alone in the toilet at midnight can still send shivers down my spine. I gathered my courage and went towards the next cubicle. I pushed the door slowly. Oh my! I was shocked when I saw a woman lying inside that cubicle. I saw her neck tied with a long rope. She looked like she was about to die. I saw that there was a broken rope tied to the ceiling. I assumed that the woman was trying to commit suicide. I froze for a moment, not knowing what to do. I laid her on the floor. From the clothes he was wearing, I assume he works in this building. I see her eyes rolled up. I tried to check if there is still a pulse. She is unconscious. Perhaps I can save him. I press on his chest and tried to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, CPR. Due to the hanging, she may be lacking the oxygen needed to reach his brain. After several attempts, she still does not give a positive response. At this moment, I remembered there is an emergency box in Uncle Ben's office. There might be respiratory aid equipment. Without wasting time, I ran to Uncle Ben's office. Upon arrival, I searched for the emergency box in the cabinet. What are you going to do with that thing? Is your hand injured? I was surprised when Uncle Ben suddenly called out to me, and I answered, "Someone is trying to commit suicide in the restroom downstairs. Please help, Uncle Ben." "What? Are you serious? Who is trying to commit suicide?" "I don't know, Uncle Ben. They are trying to hang themselves in the women's restroom. She is almost dead. If we're late, it might be too late." I brought the emergency box with Uncle Ben, following along to the lower floor towards the women's restroom. When we arrived outside the women's restroom, I saw that the door was wide open. As far as I know, I had closed that door so that no one else could see. Uncle Ben and I entered. My heart sank when I saw that there was no one in the women's restroom. I looked again at the level of this restroom. It was true. "Where is the person you mentioned earlier?" Uncle Ben asked. "They should be around here. I remember pulling them from down there near this floor." "Really? Don't lie now," Uncle Ben questioned. "It's true. I managed to give CPR to them. Who knows, maybe I saved them. Maybe they have already managed to come out of this restroom." "Okay, let's go to the CCTV room to prove your theory." Uncle Ben took me to the CCTV room to verify my theory. Upon arriving at the CCTV room, I met Eric, who was in charge of the room. Uncle Ben asked Eric to play back the CCTV footage on the lower floor. The visuals shown were of the corridor that I often pass through while working. After finding the time when I entered the women's restroom, I saw myself running out of the restroom. I saw Uncle Ben and Eric just smile. "It's okay, you go back. Let me handle this lower level," said Uncle Ben. I truly understood their smiles. I just followed Uncle Ben's words and went straight home. The next day, I fell sick for 3 days. I told my father about the incident. My father went to visit Uncle Ben, and he told me that the building was indeed eerie and ghostly disturbances often occurred there. He said that there was a case of a woman committing suicide during the economic crisis. Perhaps the woman faced so much mental pressure that she resorted to suicide. He also mentioned that Brother Eric had become very accustomed to the disturbances in that building. Sometimes in the CCTV footage, he would see the figure of a woman pacing back and forth in the corridor on the lower floor. This case was not publicized to maintain the reputation of the place. My father said that I was lucky to have experienced this so that I could become stronger if faced with disturbances again. After that incident, I still wonder whether the woman I provided CPR assistance to was human or not. It felt like I had just kissed a ghost, making me feel like vomiting when remembering this bitter memory.